Hello, we're back for day 2, part 2 of the teardown, not the teardown, but the removal of the engine and transmission from this 2000 Toyota Corolla. After a little more thought overnight, and I checked the LKQ online parts, and they have 10 of these 2000 Corollas on their yard. So I'm thinking, just to get the car back on the road sooner, instead of trying to figure out what's wrong with the transmission right away, once I get the engine ready to lift out, I'll probably go over to the junkyard and get another transmission, and that way when I lift the engine out, I can just swap the other one on it, put it all back together, and get it back on the road quicker. And then if I have time, I'll just keep the core and maybe rebuild that later on. So that's where I'm at today. We're going to try to remove the rest of the wiring harness, disconnect the exhaust, manifold, power steering pump connections, and this AC, and then tackle these engine mounts and then see where we can get. I got the heat shield off of the exhaust manifold, and you can see there's 4 bolts top, easy to get to. There's 2 on the bottom though. Took a little bit of time, had to wedge your hand back there, but got those to come out. The one that was away from me fell down onto the cross member, but I'll have to get that once the engine is up. So the next thing is to loosen this exhaust manifold here. But I'm thinking about removing this out of the way, go ahead and getting more of the electrical harness out of the way so I can have room to work, get a tool back there. Alright, this unit right here is out of the way. It was bolted in right here on this passenger side. It had 2 connections, one that went right up there, other one went there. So that's out of the way. Now focus on these power connections right here, and then see what else has to be out of the way. Alright, I've loosened the rail with the wiring harness to the coils, but down here there is a cable coming out of it. It goes to probably a sensor right here. I just want to make sure I note that so I can get that back in the right place. And then I'm going to work on the exhaust manifold. I keep saying that, but I'm going to. And then I think I'm going to remove the bolts for the power steering. Let that hang. Then I'll work on the AC. Disconnect those heater returns, the heater core right there, and return. And then see where we're at. I also have to remove the transaxles, so that'll be a chore. The last bolt here on the coil rail has a bracket that holds this on from the rail, so it's gonna, so that goes underneath the rail when that goes back together. Let's move this out of the way. Like that. Alright, it's getting there. That's already loose. A couple of bolts here that hold some grounding wires. Those go straight into this harness as well. I'm taking the starter off. There's one bolt for the starter. It comes this way, and there's one underneath that goes that way. The one on top is longer than the one that's on the bottom. Okay, continuing to get the engine clear. I've disconnected the throttle cable here. Then I'm going to take this bracket off. That connects up to here. And I should be able to move that out of the way. There's another bracket that's going down right there. There's a bolt to take that off and under there. And we're getting close. Then I've got to, I think I have to, I don't know if I need to undo this fuel line right here. A special tool required for that, because this is a flexible hose here. I might be able just to take it off this bracket and then move it out of the way and not have to worry about disconnecting the fuel line. But things are coming along. I ran into some issues with the exhaust manifold. This bolt up here, I cannot loosen that no matter how hard I try. I got two others off, and there's two more. So what I'm thinking about doing, I want to go underneath and see if I can release this right here that looks like it's spring loaded. Oh, pointing at right here. Spring loaded. If I can get those two bolts off, then I may not have to take this off all the way. I'm going to go underneath and see what that looks like. Well, as has been said many a time, the right tool makes all the difference. So I bought a deep set metric set with a 1/2-inch drive, and after the WD-40 stayed on these exhaust bolt manifold bolts for about 2 hours, I used a 20-inch breaker bar 1/2-inch drive, and they just came loose right away. So there's 5 of those. They're right there. But there's still not enough flex to pull that off. So what I'm thinking about doing is just leave those bolts on. They're about 3/4 of an inch. I mean, leave the exhaust manifold on, and then after I support the engine, it should pull away from there and come off okay, because there's not enough flex to pull it backwards. Alright, so I've got virtually everything disconnected here, rat's nest, and I did a test here. I was able to unbolt that 30mm wheel nut, and I put some WD-40 over here on this one, and I should be able to get that one off as well after I get this side of the car elevated. And then I pull out the transaxles, and then after that it's just going to be getting these mounts off. So hopefully by tomorrow I can pick up a used or transmission pull, and then either tomorrow afternoon, maybe Friday, pull it out, put the other one on, and start putting it back together. And there's a grounding strap that goes from right here to the top of this motor mount on the passenger side. I'm going to remove that. Well, that's about it for today. We'll call it a day. Losing light. On the checklist, I'm down to number 25. The only thing I skipped was removing the AC, and I haven't removed the power steering. Other than that, everything is disconnected except for the motor mounts and the transaxles. So I think tomorrow I'm going to spend the day getting a replacement transmission. Excuse me. That way I can just spend the day finishing, lifting it, swapping the transmission, and putting it back in. So that'll be it for part 2. Oh, this Harbor Freight impact drill worked wonders on the axle nuts and also on a stubborn lug nut. Also, I used it over here to loosen this engine mount, the top of this engine mount here, just to see how tough that was going to be, and it came out pretty easy with the impact drill. So that's it. Thanks for watching, and we'll pick it up again when I get the transmission.